As I'm sure you already know because of the title of this video and because it's all the internet can talk about, Xbox Game Pass is in fact getting a price increase, or rather, it has already had a price increase of 50%, bringing it from $20 to $30 a month, and I just want to spend this video talking about that for, I don't know, however long it takes for me to get my point across. It's big news, so big that everyone's talking about it, so big that it's getting me out of video retirement. To be clear, I never retired. I just am really bad at time management, and there are a lot of games coming out. And when there are a lot of games coming out, I end up spending a lot of time playing those games instead of talking about those video games on a video. Maybe I'll find a solution, maybe I won't. Who's to say? I hope I do, because I like making videos. But this video is really, as the title suggests, me posing the question onto you: is Xbox Game Pass worth it to you? Because that's really what it comes down to with Xbox Game Pass in this day and age, in October of 2025. Game Pass very much used to be like the easiest thing you could recommend to any person anywhere. It was kind of a no-brainer. For $10 a month, you could get day one releases to any Xbox Game Studio game, and occasionally there would also be a third-party day one release, all for $10. And then it became $15 a month. And then it went up to $20, which now leads us to where we are today at $30 a month. And with each passing increment from $10 to $15 to $20 to the big one of $30 a month, there have been more and more people questioning whether or not Game Pass was worth it to them, with of course the $30 price tag being the most devastating to Xbox and the general sentiment around Game Pass. Now here's where people are going to start to disagree with me and turn on me a little bit. I still think Xbox Game Pass is an extremely great deal. Hear me out. Please, don't go straight to the dislike button. I have things to say. Because posing the question of is Game Pass worth it to you, I would very much say yes. Because when you look at that $30 a month price tag and then you add it up to the year, it becomes $360 a year. People have been throwing around Xbox 360, $360. People have been having a lot of fun with that. But when I look at the promise of Xbox Game Pass and how it is this cheaper way to play video games, a more accessible way to play video games, I think that it does that successfully for me personally in the way that I play video games and the way that I consume video games. When it comes to this year, 2025, I definitely got the better end of the deal when it comes to playing games and paying for games and what have you. When I look at the day one Xbox Game Pass releases that I actually played and spent a good amount of time in, they quickly add up to a total that is way above $360. And I know people are going to be like, okay, well, receipts. Let me see the proof. Okay, no problem. Here's the proof right here. And so here are all the new releases that I got to play because I had Game Pass in 2025. Avowed, a game that I've started multiple times and put 15 hours into multiple saves, and then I kind of fall off because a lot of other games come out, and then I start a new save, and I get another 15 hours in, and then I start a new save, and I play this game a lot, is basically what I'm trying to say. Adamfall, a game that I definitely wouldn't have checked out for $60, but with Xbox Game Pass, hey, why not jump in and play it? I admittedly didn't finish it because there's a lot of games coming out, but I got to check it out and play a bunch of it and really get a feel for it and decide, hey, I'm glad that I got to play it, but I also am glad I didn't have to spend $60 on it. South of Midnight as well, a game that I very much enjoyed, but honestly, don't know if I would have paid the $40 to play it. The reviews weren't the most glowing, so I wouldn't have necessarily dropped the money myself to go play it. But since it was on Game Pass, I got to experience what was a pretty good game, I would say. Oblivion Remastered, which is a game I adore, but I'm so glad that I didn't have to drop another $50 to play it because it is a game that I have played, and it honestly, truth be told, isn't doing that much other than giving Oblivion a pretty big facelift. Pretty big. And we also had Clair Obscur Expedition 33, a game that I recently had finished at the time of this recording, and is like everyone's game of the year, a game that is also in a genre that everyone is that into with the turn-based RPG. having it on Game Pass kind of lets those people check it out. If they just have Game Pass, why not check it out while you're here? And you don't have to spend the $50. Also, Clair Obscura being $50, that's a great deal though. Just to be clear, that's a great deal. You should spend the $50. But if you don't want to, because you don't know if you're gonna like a turn-based RPG, and you have Game Pass, there you go. I also played through Doom: The Dark Ages, Wuchang Fallen Feathers, a game that I would not have given the time of day to had I had to spend the $50 to play it. But because it was on Game Pass, a service I already had, I checked it out, and it's like, I gotta tell ya, this is your PSA. Go play Wuchang Fallen Feathers. I would argue it's the most underrated game of the year. Go put it in your backlogs and play it. It's a great game, and I'm glad Xbox Game Pass had it for me to play. And without Xbox Game Pass, I probably wouldn't have played it because that's a lot of investment, $50 on a game that I am uncertain of. And also, Xbox Game Pass has Silksong, a game that is notoriously hard. If you don't want to spend $20, also it's only $20, so you probably should just spend the $20 because it's a game that apparently is like the greatest thing ever. Personally, I was never into Hollow Knight. Still can't really get into Silksong, but hey, Silksong's on Game Pass if that's what you're into. Grounded 2 is also on Game Pass in early access, but still it's here, and I personally don't do early access games other than Fields of Mistria. What's up? So I wouldn't have bought it just outright. I can confidently say I would not have played Grounded 2 if it weren't in Game Pass. And then coming up on the horizon, you have Ninja Gaiden 4, a new entry in a franchise I'm pretty unfamiliar with that I would have just skipped and let pass me by if I had to spend $70 to play it. But because it's included in Game Pass, yeah, I'm gonna check it out. It looks sick. And then you have The Outer Worlds 2, which is honestly probably my most anticipated game of the year. Obsidian, one of my favorite developers, Fallout New Vegas, my favorite game of all time, and then apparently Outer Worlds 2, possibly better than Fallout New Vegas. We'll see. We'll see. And there's also Keeper. Don't forget about Keeper. I'm talking to you and Xbox themselves because I haven't seen any promotion for this game. The new game coming out from Double Fine, you know, the development studio that had also created one of my previous games of the year in Psychonauts 2. Let's see what they've been up to, you know? And when I add all of those games up, the value for those games are over $560 because, you know, tax and all that crap. And then you look at the price of Xbox Game Pass. Of course, this is the new price. This isn't even talking about the price of $20 a month, which, wow, that's crazy. It was $20 a month, by the way. Honestly, I didn't realize I was paying $20 a month for Xbox Game Pass. I thought it was $24.99 this whole time. At the value of the 2025 price up till now, of course, that would have been $240 to play $560 worth of games. And now it's going up, and now it's $260 a year to play $560 worth of games. And now this is the key point I need to make and get across when it comes to how I value Xbox Game Pass. When I look at this year, it has been utterly insane for this service. $560 worth of games that I've gotten to play this year or will play for less than that, way less than that. I would have saved over $200 because of tax and all that crap by playing these games via Xbox Game Pass. And so the most critical thing for me to continue believing that Xbox Game Pass is worth it to me is if Xbox Game Pass continues to hit at this consistently insane quality of game releases. And that's a pretty high bar to set. They also said in their trailer, teaser, whatever you want to call it, their ad, I guess, talking about the new changes to Xbox Game Pass, that they're going to be like over 70, maybe 75 day one releases now. That's bold, to say the least. Because before we didn't have any like insane expectations from Xbox Game Pass other than, oh yeah, all of the Xbox Game Studios games and their subsidiaries and all of that, those will be here day one with Xbox Game Pass. No way in hell were they reaching anywhere close to 75 Xbox games. So to pull this number out, probably not smart. I'll say it, you know, kind of like saying everything you'll see here will be released within the next year. Kind of feels like that, where now we can keep you honest. Now that you've said this, we can count. 75 is a really high number. Are you sure? Because the internet will hold you accountable if you don't hit 75 day one titles. Assuming Xbox Game Pass can hit at least the same consistency of this year, of 2025, into the future, I personally will continue to remain subscribed to Xbox Game Pass because it is a great value for me in the way that I play games. And that really is what is changing. That's the only thing that is changing with Xbox Game Pass. It's going from being this easily recommendable thing to anyone to being a much more niche of a product. And I know what you're thinking. Okay, so they're just fine with losing subscribers to Xbox Game Pass? The thing that they've been touting forever, being like, everyone needs to be on this, our numbers need to be higher, we need to make more and more money via Xbox Game Pass. They're just fine with letting people unsubscribe and losing that income? Yeah, I think they are. Because let's face it, Xbox Game Pass has been extremely cheap for the last however long it's existed. And in doing that, making it that cheap, and the cost of games only rising as we continue to push technology forward and try to strive for more cutting edge graphics and all of that crap that we don't actually need, but people keep saying we need, and they keep trying to push for more and more of it in all of these AAA games that cost more and more to make, then at some point it's going to pop, and that's going to suck, but we're along for the ride for now, I guess. All of that to say, I'm not entirely sure if they were really making a profit off of Xbox Game Pass. I enjoy the service. Obviously, it saves me a lot of money, gives me a lot of games, but I don't know if it was actually profitable. They have said it is, but come on. If it were so profitable, would we be in this mess we are in today? You know what I mean? I loved it because it saved me money, gave me games, but come on, at some point, we kind of knew this was going to happen, right? And so now people are unsubscribing en masse to the point where the cancel subscription page was down when this news was announced. And yeah, that seems bad. But the amount of people that I've seen, oh, well, why would I just spend $30 a month when I can buy these games? Just buy these games and I can own it and keep it that way. Great. That's great. I'm sure Xbox, Microsoft, they are fine with you just buying their games. Because as the Xbox Game Pass subscribers may go down, I'd imagine it's going to be offset by the amount of people who are now outright purchasing these Xbox titles. And Microsoft titles, I guess, because the whole thing. Especially after seeing how much the rhetoric of, oh, you're renting your games for $30 a month, you're being robbed blind. How much that's being thrown around a lot lately. I don't see it as renting because, like I said, I don't see myself unsubscribing from Xbox Game Pass, so I have all of these games. Unless my financial situation changes drastically, or they change the price drastically, or the value isn't there, I'm going to remain subscribed to Game Pass. So I don't really feel like these are rentals at all. I can play them whenever I feel like it. I feel like people are starting to make the move back to just purchasing your games the traditional way. However, I do wonder how they're going to feel when they find out that a lot of Xbox games are printed on the disc as just a digital unlock, and they're not there. It's just a key to say, yeah, you own this game, you can play it. So I feel like that's going to be an interesting development. We'll see later in life, I feel. But that's another thing about the whole digital physical thing. Physical's on its way out. I hate to break it to you guys. And that's one of the key differences I also believe that Xbox Game Pass has over a streaming service like Netflix or Hulu or Disney Plus and what have you. Because when it comes to something like Netflix, those subscription services will only continue to rise because production costs of their series and movies and all of that crap that they're doing is only going to continue to rise itself. So that's going to get passed on to you. But with Xbox Game Pass, raising the price isn't the worst thing because when you do that, you do get the money from the people who remain subscribed, and you get the people who unsubscribe to just move off to your actual product that you can buy individually. The video games, the $70 titles, and probably $80 titles if we're being honest. Also, this whole thing kind of just feels like Xbox being like, okay, you guys wouldn't let us charge $80 for a game? How about $30 a month for Game Pass? It kind of feels like that because they wanted to do that with The Outer Worlds, and it's hitting in October. That's another thing to get a little off track real quick. Hey, Xbox, you could have handled this way better. It went into effect immediately. They announced it and it went into effect, I believe, that same day. Although my credit card charged it for $20, because I guess it got out before that happened. Pretty sick. But it happened immediately. There was no warning. Like, I feel like the reception was going to be bad. because no one wants prices to go up, period. But it might have been a little bit better if they said, hey, starting January 1st, 2026, Xbox Game Pass is changing. It's going up in price, and you're also getting Ubisoft Plus Classics and Fortnite Crew. Oh, also those are the things that they're adding to Xbox Game Pass Ultimate to increase the value. You know, things that you might not even care about. They're just adding it in there and raising the price. Pretty sick. It isn't sick, just to be clear. But the Fortnite Crew isn't going to be added until next month, which is just like, yeah, why wouldn't you wait until that deal was like coinciding with the price increase? It's strange. They're making decisions over there, not smart decisions, but they're making decisions. But back to the whole Xbox Game Pass versus Netflix sort of thing. When it comes to Netflix, you subscribe to the service to watch their content, then that's it. That's the only way they make their money. But when it comes to Game Pass and Xbox as an ecosystem, you spend the $70 or the $80 on their products if you don't want to pay for the subscription every month. Xbox's only source of income isn't just a subscription service. They have multiple other ways to get your money, which, yeah, definitely includes releasing all of their games wherever they possibly can, making their console, you know, what's the point? You know, I don't even know. They're doing a lot of things, but at the end of the day, all I can say is that to me, Xbox Game Pass is still worth it. But as the video title suggests, I want to know what you think. Is Xbox Game Pass still worth it to you? Because a lot of people are making it very clear that it isn't anymore. And if it isn't, let me know why. And if it is, I'd also like to know why, because it sounds like you and me, the people who are still enjoying Game Pass, sounds like we're in the minority here. So, and yeah, that'll be it for this video. Shout out to me being back. Give myself a pat on the back, you know? That's pretty cool. We'll see how it goes. It just really feels like Xbox can't get anything right. I feel like this has been... 2025 started out as one of the most promising years for Xbox, and then they just didn't do anything right after that. They set themselves up really well, and then they just did what they did. It's not great. But 2026 could be sick. Or maybe the cycle will just repeat itself again and again. And that's just how Xbox is going to go down in history. But that's it for me. Until next time, as always, stay safe and play some video games.